Okay. So students, today I am going to start new chapter, that is chapter 1, solid state. The name of chapter is solid state. Now we learn about gaseous state and liquid state in 11th standard. Like Dalton's law of partial pressure, all the gas laws that we learned in 11th standard. So in this standard we are going to learn about solid state. So first point for today, first topic for today is characteristic of solid, or you can say properties of solid. So the first point for that is solids have fixed shape, mass and volume. So this point you are learning from primary. Suppose this is solid, it has fixed shape, fixed mass and fixed volume. How much area that takes place. So it has fixed shape, mass and volume. Now second point, intermolecular distance, that is short. Now what do you mean by intermolecular distance? Suppose this is our solid. Okay, now in that two particles I am taking. Two adjacent particles I am taking. Now distance between that two particles, they must be very short. A distance short as so this is called intermolecular distance, and this is very short in case of solid. Third point, intermolecular force. Now what is intermolecular force? So between that two particles, some attraction force will be there and some repulsion force will be also there. Here we are specially focusing on attraction forces. So intermolecular force will be very strong in case of solid. In case of gaseous and liquid state, that intermolecular force is very weak compared to solid one. Now fourth point, constituent particle have fixed position. Means આજે બે પાર્ટિકલ ડ્રો કર્યા, like that number of particles will be there in solid. That particles, they have fixed position in case of solid, but in case of gas, you know, if I try to fill up some room with some gas, the room will be whole room will be consumed by that gas. So particles of gas, they do not have fixed position. They will run here and there in the room. So that doesn't happen in solid. So constituent particles have fixed position. Now fifth point, incompressible and rigid. Most of the solids are incompressible. There are few exceptional cases like sponge. Sponge is solid but it is compressible. Now that is, sponge have their own reason and their own properties. Due to some pores in that, it is compressible. But most of the solids, they are incompressible and rigid. So these are 5 points that are properties or characteristics of solid. Now solids have two types. There are two types of solid, amorphous solid and crystalline solid. I am going to show you both solids here. You can see this material that are made up of small particles. You can see here small particles. So this type of solid that are called crystalline solid. And if I take it in my hand, you can see the particles, different particles. You can easily observe different particles, and they are the constituent particle of this type of solid. આ solid આ particle ના બનેલા છે. Okay. So this type of solid that are called crystalline solid. Now amorphous solid. Now observe this solid. It is a powder-like material. I can't observe particles in it. Okay, and by taking it, it is depositing on my hand. હાથ ઉપર આવી જાય છે. So this type of powder like material that are called amorphous solid. Okay, so we are going to learn difference between amorphous solid and crystalline solid. Okay, you can see here side by side. You can see clear difference. These are made of crystalline solid. They are made of small particles and they have fixed shape. You look at this particle. They have fixed shape. This particle have fixed shape. But in case of amorphous solid, the particles do not have fixed shape. I can't observe the particle even. So the particles do not have any fixed shape. Now we are going to learn the difference between amorphous solid and crystalline solid. But before that, let me show you something that is very important. Now look at this tile. Okay, suppose I have this tile. Now it is solid. Now if I cut it from here, from the middle of the tile, if I cut it down, so it will break into two parts. Suppose this is the tile and I am breaking it into two parts. So it will break into two parts. Now what I am doing here is I want to pass heat from this point to this point. Okay, આ બંને પોઈન્ટ વચ્ચે heat pass કરવી છે. So this heat will pass in suppose x time. Now this is one section. I was cutting it from the middle and it is vertically cleavage. Now suppose I have this solid and I am cutting it down diagonally. Okay, diagonally मैं cut करूँ. So now I want to pass heat from this end to this end. So it will take some more time. The cleavage is important here. કઈ રીતના मैं cut કર્યું એ important છે. So આ જે કઈ રીતના cut કર્યું એ important છે અહીંયા આગળ. આ કેસની અંદર મેં વચ્ચેથી કટ કરેલું પેપર અને બંનેની પ્રોપર્ટી, બંને પાર્ટિકલમાં બે જે પાર્ટ પડ્યા એ બંને પાર્ટ સેમ છે. સો બંનેમાં હીટ ઇક્વલ અમાઉન્ટ ઓફ ટાઈમની અંદર પાસ થશે. બટ you can observe here, this one is small page and this one is big page. So to transfer heat from one end to second end in bigger page, it will take more time. And this one will take less time. So જે કેસની અંદર સેમ ટાઈપ હોય, સેમ ટાઈમ રિક્વાયરમેન્ટ હોય, એને કહેવાય આઇસોટ્રોપિક પ્રોપર્ટી. બે પાર્ટ પાડીએ અને બંને પાર્ટની પ્રોપર્ટી સેમ હોય. મેં એક્ઝામ્પલ લીધેલો હીટ એનર્જીવાળો, હીટ પાસ કરવાવાળો. બીજી અમુક પ્રોપર્ટી હોય. સો આવી પ્રોપર્ટી બે પાર્ટની અંદર સેમ બતાવે તો એને કહેવાય આઇસોટ્રોપિક સોલિડ્સ. અને બે પાર્ટની અંદર ડિફરન્ટ પ્રોપર્ટી બતાવે એને કહેવાય એન આઇસોટ્રોપિક સોલિડ્સ. ઓકે, now what are the major difference between crystalline solid and amorphous solid? You can say first point, definite geometrical shape. मीन्स जो मैं पार्टिकल बताया क्रिस्टलाइन सॉलिड्स ની અંદર they have definite geometrical shape, but in case of amorphous solid they have irregular shape. Now second point, sharp melting point and boiling point in crystalline solid. Means suppose crystalline solid નો मैं boiling point અને melting point માપ્યો મેઝર કર્યો એક્સપેરિમેન્ટથી. સો સપોઝ મને પહેલા એક્સપેરિમેન્ટમાં 57 ડિગ્રી સેલ્સિયસ મળ્યું. અઝ્યુમ ધેટ નાઉ that 57 degree Celsius I will get in each experiment. Suppose मैं बीजी वक्त करो, so I will get that same 57 degree Celsius boiling point or melting point. एमा कोई चेंज नहीं था. But in case of amorphous solid, if I do the experiment multiple times, the boiling point and melting point that changes little bit. Not major difference will be there, but little bit that changes. So here range of temperature as melting point and boiling point. अगर कोई फिक्स नहीं, अगर 57 डिग्री फिक्स થઈ ગયેલો. સપોઝ એજ મટીરિયલ એમોર્ફસ હોય તો એક વખત મને 55 મળે, એક વખત મને 58 મળે. So that will be range of temperature. Now third point, heat of fusion is infinite. Means જે ક્રિસ્ટલાઇન સોલિડ બતાવ્યા મેં એ સોલિડ પાર્ટિકલને બ્રેક કરવા માટે જે હીટ અપ્લાય કરવી પડે એને હીટ ઓફ ફ્યુઝન કહેવાય. અગેન જે પાર્ટિકલ બતાવ્યા ક્રિસ્ટલાઇન સોલિડ્સ આર મેડ અપ ઓફ સ્મોલ પાર્ટિકલ્સ. એ સ્મોલ પાર્ટિકલને બ્રેક કરવા માટે હીટ ઓફ ફ્યુઝન આપવી પડે. હીટ આપવી પડે એને કહેવાય હીટ ઓફ ફ્યુઝન. So that heat of fusion is infinite in case of crystalline solid, but heat of fusion is not infinite in amorphous solid. Change thaya kare according to environment. In environment, if humid environment is there, then it will require less energy, less heat of fusion. But dry environment is there, so it will require more energy. Like that, the heat of fusion is not infinite in case of amorphous solid. Now third point, anisotropic in nature. Anisotropic કોને કહેવાય મેં હમણાં જ કીધું. If I break the solid particle in two parts, both parts will show different property. Suppose heat transfer ની જે ટાઈમ હતો એ anisotropic માં different હોય because it will break into two different parts. Isotropic in nature. Amorphous solids are isotropic means એની અંદર જે બે પાર્ટ હશે એ ઇક્વલ હશે અને બંનેની અંદર પ્રોપર્ટી સપોઝ મેં હમણાં બતાવ્યું એમ હીટ પાસ થવાનો ટાઈમ, so that time will be same. So that type of property will be same in amorphous solid. Now last one, when cut in two parts, both parts are plain and smooth. Suppose I am taking this solid and I am cutting it down from here by sharp edge, some sharp edge tool. So both part will get smooth and plain surface. And બંને પાર્ટનો સરફેસ હશે એ પ્લેન હશે અને સ્મૂથ હશે. But in case of amorphous solid, both parts will not have smooth and plain surface, so they will have irregular surface. Okay, so these are the major difference between crystalline solid and amorphous solid.